Thank you very much, Lynn. Let me get this set up for you. I'm going to share my screen. Uh, the Because we're doing this in two languages, you're going to see my notes in English. Um, and at the end of this presentation, I'm going to have a PowerPoint slide converted to PDF file for you that Lynn can email to you later. So all the slides are going to, you'll see all the slides. I've also added an extra slide at the end about Pegasus and some of the issues related to that. I understand that's a major subject of conversation yesterday. It's important that you know about it. I have suspicions that several of the governments in South America, the northern portion of South America, have purchased Pegasus. So we'll talk about that and how you can protect yourself. So let me get the slide pack started and hit share here and go here. And let me get this view. Okay, you should be able to see the slide, and you'll see some of the, I think some of the upcoming slides as well. Let me go back to the beginning. There we go. It's the title. Welcome. This is essentially a presentation that I prepared for the New York Times before I retired. I think I created it about 10 or 12 years ago, and then I've kept it up to date and make pretty frequent changes. Um, Bear with me if you know some of this. If you don't, if you're not technically adept, we have some good information for you so you know who to find to give you some technical assistance. Um, One of the things that we have to make clear is that if your computer is insecure, you and your colleagues can be attacked. So you're doing yourself a favor, but you're also doing your colleagues a favor by making sure that your computer or your phone, I'm going to use the term computer, but that includes your smartphone, an iPad, anything along those lines, that they need to be secure. Data security depends also on them, your colleagues in the workplace. And so if you see somebody doing something insecure, you need to tell them or stay away from them. Also, if your network is insecure, and this can be your home network or your work network, um, you and your colleagues can be attacked through the network. And we're going to get to that in more detail at the end of the presentation when we talk about Pegasus. So what can happen if you're attacked? You can lose all your data, everything, even your backup copies. Everything can be completely destroyed by someone attacking you or copied without you knowing it. And that is what our security as journalists are all about. You don't want your contacts copied. You don't want a record of what websites you visited copied. You don't want, of course, to have all your data lost. Come on. Why is it? There it is. I had to click in the right place. Um, so who attacks computers and networks? Governments do it. That's the Pegasus attack, for example. Criminals do it. They want your credit card numbers, your social insurance numbers, things like that. ID card numbers, passport numbers, those are good. Competition, other journalists sometimes even will hack. This happened in the United Kingdom where you had journalists hacking other journalists. Just general hackers, you have people who do it just because it's their hobby. And there's actually clubs of people who get together and have contests about who can hack different systems. Um, Kind of a strange way to run your life, but there you go. Former employees, if someone gets fired or dismisses or they're unhappy when they quit, they can cause problems before they leave. There's something called zombies that will attack you, denial of service attacks. And this is software that just indiscriminately attacks anything in its way. It doesn't matter if you're a journalist or not. You can get attacked, and they aren't attacking you because you're a journalist. They're just attacking you because you have a device. Um, but the biggest form of attack is ourselves making mistakes, failing to back up data, or you back up data and overwrite former uh, important files, or you buy a new computer and you forget to copy some files over. We're our own worst enemy, journalists, because we collect stuff on our computers, and sometimes we go back to look for it and it's not there anymore. So just remember, you're your own worst enemy. Um, it's a cheerful thought, I know. And as your own worst enemy, you can cause crashes and things accidentally. Um, the first line of defense are passwords. Fernando Carbato, a gentleman from California, um, who I think's family was from Spain, if I recall. He invented the computer password way back when, and he once said in in a convention to a whole bunch of computer people that inventing the password was the worst mistake he ever made. He said it was a bad way to have computer security, that there were other ways of doing it, and he always regretted the rest of his life inventing the password. Um, Pretty sad. Um, so there are a few things about passwords you should know. And Fernando made no secret of these as he went around to conventions. Um, if you even think your password has been compromised, if it even just it crosses your mind for a moment that maybe somebody knows my password, change it. Changing passwords is free. Um, just get it changed first and then ask questions later. Never disclose or share your password with anybody. This includes family members. Don't tell anybody what your passwords are. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that that are obvious, but never share a password. If it gets shared, change it. Never email a password. Email, as we will discover later, is insecure for several reasons. And you never put a password in email. There's a system for sending passwords by email where you send a blank email with just the word in it. But even there, you're taking a chance. And if somebody's monitoring you and they're pretty sharp and they work for like the CIA or the FSB in Russia or something, they'll know what you're up to. Um, Never reuse passwords on other systems. So if you have a password you use for your bank, don't use it for your credit card. Just always, everything needs to be a different password. There's software to help you store your passwords that's out there. Uh, Apple and Google are both creating more secure ways of storing passwords on their devices. But currently, um, don't don't reuse passwords. Um, do not use dictionary words in any language. One of my favorite products on the black internet for about $100, you can buy a dictionary that's a list of every word in every written language. And that can be used to attack someone's passwords. Honestly, I mean, the idea that's, you could be attacked by somebody with an Armenian dictionary is crazy. But if they have a dictionary with every language in it, they just sit and it's a matter of time before they find your password if you've been using real words. So don't do that. Um, don't increment digits. I used to have a password that at the New York Times, and every 6 months they made you change your password. So I would just add a digit to it. So if I was, gobbledygook one, I would change it to gobbledygook two, and so forth. And then I discovered that that was when the Chinese attacked our network. That was one of the things they tried was incrementing the passwords, the numbers on the ends or the middle of passwords. So don't do that. Um, we were actually penetrated by the Chinese government. Um, we had the FBI following them. And one of the things they did was try to find patterns in our passwords. Um, Mix upper and lowercase letters. There's 26 letters in the English alphabet. I think there's 28 or 29 in the Spanish alphabet. Um, you want to mix them up. Unfortunately, in the English password world, which is how passwords are processed, um, letters like CH in Spanish or double L or tilde N are enye are treated as the regular letters. Um, Someday somebody enlightened will fix that, but currently it hasn't been fixed. Um, and avoid predictability. Don't use the name of the street you live on. Don't use the name of your pet. Don't use your kids' names. Don't use any city you ever lived in your life, going way back when. Um, don't use your birth date. Things like that that can be looked up by anybody who wants to spend the time to crack your computer. There's actually software that goes out and does this. It'll go out and gather personal data about you and then use it to attack passwords. So don't do that. Avoid predictability. Um, and until we invent something better than passwords, which they're getting to slowly but surely, you need to be very, very careful. Um, what can you do? The cheap solutions are free. Um, Use phrases. Uh, one of the regrets of calling it a password is that they should have called it a passphrase. That would have allowed people to or given them in their mind the idea that it isn't just a word. It can be an entire phrase. It can be an entire sentence. Think about using a phrase, a favorite phrase. Don't use Shakespeare or anything, Cervantes or anything like that, because those get attacked by dictionaries too. But think of phrases. Um, Swap letters for digits. Uh, the common ones are like instead of an E, you use a 3, kind of looks like an E. 5, use an S, kind of looks like an S. And that breaks the words up. It turns them into non-words. Um, the really secret stuff should have long random strings, and there's great password programs now that generate these long strings and store them for you, so you don't have to try to memorize them. Um, Programs like 1Password, and you use one click, and it gives you a long random string of just gibberish, and that becomes your password. Um, Do not use two words separated by a symbol, and that's because that's the oldest form of password. It's what CompuServe used way back in the 60s. Um, and there are algorithms that are very good at breaking word, symbol, word, like frozen asterisk food that I have here. And they attack them in different languages. And since Spanish is spoken by so many people, it's not a stretch to say that Spanish is one of the languages that will be used to attack a two-word password. Um, so there are some protections you can do. Sometimes they cost you money or your boss money, but are worth the expense. But there's just some terms you should know, and we're not going to get into the technicalities of how they work, just what they do. One is called a proxy server. This is very common in China to get around what's called the Great Firewall of China, which I've gone to China. I've been sent to China with our IT technicians from the Times to try to figure out how to get around the Great Firewall of China. Uh, China has taken the Great Firewall of China, which blocks traffic that they don't want you to see. Like it blocks news sites, it blocks emails, it blocks Facebook. They now sell it to other countries. Pakistan bought it. I know that for certain. I suspect that Brazil has bought it, but they speak Portuguese, so who cares, right? Um, then we have VPN, Virtual Private Network. Um, That's not as necessary as it used to be, but for journalists, it can be very good because it hides from who's ever monitoring you what websites you're connecting to. That's VPN, virtual private network. It's usually a monthly fee, and it looks like you're in another country. As a matter of fact, if you go to Google search and you're using VPN, it might come up in Belgian, Flemish, it might come up in Russian, might come up in Korean, because Google tries to guess where you are, and you're popping up all over the world. It's as if you're not in Ecuador. It's as if you were in Australia. There's without the kangaroos. And it's very important that uh, if your IT people say you should be using VPN, that you use VPN. Um, don't try to second guess them on that. It's not expensive. It's a per month fee usually. Some companies offer free VPN as a service. Um, then there's HTTPS. In the good old days, when you started a web address in your web browser, you put in HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Aren't you glad you know that now? And it was very insecure. It still is very insecure. So whenever you put in a web address that begins with just HTTP, the whole world can see what you're doing. Anybody monitoring you um, can see not only what you're connecting to, but all your traffic going back and forth. It's very bad. So they invented HTTPS, which is a secure uh, method. And this does two things. One is it encrypts your session so that nobody can see what you're doing, but it does not encrypt who you're connecting to. They can see you're connecting. So if you have a government that does not want you connecting to the BBC in the United Kingdom, if you connect to HTTPS, they cannot see what you're doing with the BBC. You could just be watching a video, or you could be actually having a conversation with them. They don't know, but they know you connected to them. And that is the shortcoming of HTTPS. It gives away who you're talking to. Um, SFTP is the same way with file transfer protocol. If you've ever been a photographer or a videographer, you know you use FTP to send files around, big files. SFTP is the secure way of doing that. Same problem. They can see who you're connecting to. They can't see the traffic. They can't see your video, your photos, not your presentation, nothing like that. But they can see who you're connecting to. There's encryption, general encryption. Encryption means that the uh, traffic, such as email, is being encrypted within the encrypted email system. So it's sort of like double encryption. A lot of people like using that. It greatly annoys people who are trying to hack you. It slows down the CIA or FSB or people like that by a few milliseconds. Uh, but it's a useful technique to use if you need to make sure that the other person uh, is not being monitored. You use double encryption. Um, let's get to your phone briefly. The big question is, do I send a text message or do I send an email on my phone? Um, if you have an iPhone and the balloon is blue, that's encrypted end to end, but they do know who you're talking to. Um, SMS is the original texting on cell phones. It's limited in length to, I think, 245 characters these days, something like that. Um, SMS is sent in the clear. That means it is not encrypted and the destination is open to everybody. It's an open standard. All cell phone companies around the world use SMS. If you send a text message and the bubble is green on an iPhone, that means it's probably going as SMS. That means anybody can see it. And we're going to get into the implications of that in a few minutes. But you're better off trying to use email than SMS if there's any suspicion that that instead of using Apple messaging, iMessage, you're using SMS. Just don't use SMS. I just don't use it for anything. People use it with me and it drives me crazy. Um, and then there's voice versus data. And I put this here because there is no difference between voice and data. Voice is data. As soon as it gets into your iPhone or your Android phone, it's converted to data. It never goes out analog anymore. It simply doesn't happen. The phone networks don't work that way anymore. It's all data. So if somebody's monitoring your data, figure they're hearing your voice as well as seeing your internet traffic. Um, there's it's That's just the truth of modern society. We've gone completely digital in a lot of ways that maybe we shouldn't have gone completely digital. Um, you, you, Two-factor authentication is supposed to be passwords on steroids. It is the idea of two-factor authentication is that even if your password is stolen, even if you yell it out and you give it away to everybody, they still can't break into you because you need to have the secret number that's sent to you by text or email or by phone. Um, Usually the passcode expires within a few minutes. There's usually a time limit. 5 or 10 minutes is pretty common. For the government, 30 seconds is common. You got 30 seconds to use that number, or you got to ask for another one. It can be sent to mobile devices. It can be sent to your desktop computer. That's the nice thing about it. Uh, it can be generated by an app or by hardware, and we'll get into that in a minute. Um, it almost, but not quite, eliminates the risk of password leaks. As I said, if you could yell out your password, and if you've got two-factor authentication, it's much more difficult for someone to break into you. It works globally on all platforms. Every computer platform and mobile device platform supports two-factor authentication. That's Macintosh, Apple, um, anything that's Microsoft, Linux, which is a great operating system. I like Linux. Chromebooks, all mobile devices, everybody supports two-factor authentication. It was realized that if they didn't, they wouldn't be able to sell any more devices. Nobody would use them. It's supported by businesses and governments. If you log in regularly to a system that has important information, either personal information or journalistic information, and they do not use two-factor authentication, you should complain to them and tell them to do it. It costs them a little bit of money, but it saves their customers or partners a whole bunch of misery. Two-factor authentication, 2FA. Um, uh, if it's sent by SMS, it can be intercepted because remember, SMS is not encrypted. It's sent in the clear. Um, a lot of two-factor authentication systems like sending things by SMS. That's bad. In the amount of time it takes, if someone's monitoring you, if they have a hint as to your password, they can take that SMS message and plug that in and intercept your traffic. Um, as I said, it's not available still widely, especially outside Europe and the United States. Just simply demand that they do it. Tell your bank, tell your credit card company that if they don't do two-factor authentication, you're going to find another bank or another credit card company. That's all there is to it. This is it's still not the complete solution to passwords, but it's the closest thing we got. Um, Still don't lose your password. Remember, you want to be able to, two-factor authentication, you want to have both factors secret. So, don't go around yelling your password anyway. Um, if you use two-factor authentication and you're on a public terminal, like in an airport lounge or a hotel, or you just don't own the computer, you're at somebody's friend's house, um, be careful. I would have it send the number to your mobile device instead of the computer. Um, Even if it allows you 10 or 15 minutes to use the number, use it immediately. Because every minute that you don't use the number, that number is good for someone else to use if they're hacking you. If they've got Pegasus, for example, they could, and you don't use that number for 10 minutes. Let's say it's good for 15 minutes, and you don't use it for 10 minutes. They got 10 minutes to hack you. Um, so don't do that. Use it right away. Um, a lot of organizations still use the device. They don't use the app to generate the number, and they don't send it. They give you a device. And the idea is if your phone is stolen, you still have the device. And if the device is stolen, you still have your phone. Um, the device costs money. It expires because it's got a battery in it. Um, it generates a six-digit number once per minute. Um, some of them plug into the computer so that you don't have to retype the number. Some of them are very, very small devices. The one I'm going to show you here, actually, I'll just show you here. There we are. This is the RSA. It's an older device, but they still use it. The round part has the battery, and that number you see changes. And there's a little countdown. The bars on the side are the countdown to the changing the number. Um, Never leave it unattended. But devices like this are used by intelligence agencies and things because um, they are separate from your phone and separate from your computer. And so that if someone steals your computer, they don't have the software that generates the number. Um, a little bit more about 2FA. You can tell 2FA is important to me. It's just such an easy way to lock down your system. Um, uh, you're going to get the authentication app most likely instead of the device because that's cheaper. If someone gives it to you, the application software, Google makes it, a bunch of companies make it. It's standardized so that you can use it with almost any system. Um, the method of generating the six-digit number is a known algorithm. It's public. There's no secret how the algorithm is generated. And so all sorts of apps can generate the number. This one is Google's. It's aging. It needs to be improved, but it's free. Um, you have it on your phone. It generates the numbers. You just scroll down till you find the system you're trying to log in, and it gives you the number for it. And that number you see, all of them change every minute. They turn red and flash at you, and then they change. Um, and mine currently has like 30 entries in it for different systems. Um, it's password protected. All the apps are almost always all the apps are always free. Nobody charges for this. Um, and it's easy to set up and it works on Android or iPhones. I would not put it on a desktop computer. I would not put it on a laptop. I would use it only on mobile devices. Remember, if they steal your mobile device and you don't have a password on that mobile device, they're going to have access to these numbers. So if that's another point you should make. If your mobile device does not have a good long password on it, 6 digits, 8 digits, something like that, um, you need to change that and make it longer. 4 digits are too easy to figure out. And in fact, there's a technique they use where they look at your phone. There you go. It's scanned, and they can see where there's more wear on the screen. And those are the spots where the numbers are where you've been activating your phone. So all they need to do is try different combinations of those worn spots. It'd be dangerous if I was a crook, wouldn't I, Lynn? Um, Email. Let's talk about email. Email's very old. Most people don't realize it's about 50 years old. The first email system wasn't called email back then, but that's essentially what it was. Um, and a lot has changed and a lot has not changed because there are so many email providers out there and so much email software, and because it's so critical to businesses and people, it's very, very difficult for them to improve the security because it means rolling out changes to everybody. Everybody has to be on the same page when it comes to email. All the servers in the world, no matter who's running them, bad guys, good guys, governments, private, you, whoever, it would all have to change. So the changes come very slowly. There is a committee that meets about email security with all the major players, but it's very slow. Um, uh, Here's the gist of it. You can be as careful as you can possibly be about your security on your device. But if the person sending that email to you is not, all hell can break loose. First of all, somebody could read the email to you on their machine because it's in their outbox. Um, Second of all, they could intercept the email and insert malware into it, replace an attachment or something. Learn how to send you bogus emails. Um, so there's few things you can do to make email more secure, but you cannot make it totally secure, no matter how secure you are, because you cannot have any assurance that the person at the other end is as secure as you. Um, Double check your outbound addresses before you send an email. Make sure that all of those addresses are where you think they're going. Um, Inspect links before clicking. Don't click on a link you're not expecting. Just don't. Um, you can view the link ahead of time and make a value judgment about whether you should click on it or not. All the email software does the same thing. If you hover over the email address, you can you can see what it is in advance, what the address is. Um, know your senders and check the reply to. Um, there can be senders can be mimicked, and sometimes you can with some software you only see people's names and you don't see the email address. What you do is check the email address before you open it. Opening an email, by the way, doesn't do any harm. Just opening it, um, as long as your email program is set up properly. Um, the worst it can do is uh, download an image, anything, a picture of a kid or something, or a logo, company logo, and they can see that you're getting that logo. So they know that you're there. You may not have read the email, you may not have clicked on it, but you saw the preview of it. And that's how they collect lists of people on the internet. Um, Write a meaningful subject line. That's just a courtesy anyway, but never send one that says just like more or here I am or hello. Um, Send a really useful subject line. If nothing else, you're doing a courtesy to the person you're sending the message to help them find the message and know whether to click on it or not. And do never automatically forward your email, ever. Whatever the excuse is, it's not good enough. This is a common way for emails to be leaked, is setting up automatic forwarding. Just don't do it. There's a bunch of reasons. Take my word for it. Just don't do it. A lot of systems ban it now. Google Gmail bans it under some circumstances. Um, Microsoft also will ban it if the client wants. Just don't do it. Just avoid the temptation. Never forward your email to another address. Um, Most people don't realize that email picks up postmarks. It's like the good old days when your envelope got stamped as it went through different post offices, like here. Uh, that's exactly what email does. And matter of fact, that was the model they used way back in the 60s when they invented email. They used mail as the model, and one of them was that it left postmarks. In other words, as your message transits the internet and goes from, let's say, Ecuador to Egypt, it's going to go through maybe a dozen computers on the way. And as it goes through those systems, their mark is added to your email. Even within your company, as the message goes through your company's network, and then goes out on the internet, it leaves other postmarks. It has to. That's the way that the authentication system works. But that also means that someone who intercepts that email or who gets a copy of it and then looks at the postmarks, looks at what's called the raw code, can see details of your network and can see details of what carrier you're using to send your email on, all sorts of things that could be very helpful to help them hack you. Um, when you automatically forward, you're automatically forwarding the postmarks along with the message. So that's one reason you don't use automatic forwarding. It's depressing to think that email's that insecure, but it's true. Um, so what can you do? It's great uh, to be able to use email systems and create free email accounts all you want. And one of the things you can do is create throwaway accounts. So if you're working with a confidential source, you can go on Google or Hotmail or whatever and create some email accounts only for that use of communicating with somebody. And then at the end of it, you just abandon it and never check your mail there again. You never use it again. Just forget about it. Obviously, you don't use your real name when you're setting up the account. That would kind of defeat the purpose. But throwaway accounts are very common. They're used by journalists around the world. Um, they're used by spies. Everybody uses them because they're free, easy to set up. You can do it in under a minute once you get adept at doing it, and uh, and then you just walk away and you never use them ever again. Um, you can create ghost or what are called phantom accounts. Those are accounts that appear to be somebody, but in fact are somebody else. Fake names, fake company names. There are ways to do that with fake domains, like google.com is a domain, for example. Every company has different domains, but you can spoof those domains and create a fake domain with a fake email address in it, and then it's pretty deep. Nobody would ever find you. Um, don't respond to spam. Don't write back and say, "Stop sending me spam." The reason is now they know that you're a live user and they're going to send you more spam. You will be on all those lists that are sold on the black internet of guaranteed active users. Just ignore it. In the US, we have ways of blocking it. Apple has installed things on their devices that allow you to block spam so that you're not bothered by it, and yet they never know that you're there. Um, it's like it goes into a dead mailbox kind of thing. Um, but don't write to them and say stop sending spam. That's that's the cape in front of the bull. The bull will start charging. Be careful when you're using the reply all button. Make sure that when you hit reply all, that everybody on that list is who you think they are. If that message was sent to you with a fake address somewhere in the middle, and this is a common spam technique, and you hit reply all, it's going to go to them too. And you don't want them thinking that you're a live user. So don't hit the reply all button without checking all those addresses. Um, if you really want to make sure that you're not sending anything nasty to somebody, you can convert your email to plain text. Most people send formatted text. Plain text is great because if you're working on a satellite link, it cuts down the size of the message by about 90%. So if a message is 1 MB and you send it plain text, it'll be 100K, 1/10 the size. Plain text gets rid of bold, it gets rid of italic, it gets rid of colors, it gets rid of everything. It's just, you can still have an attachment, but your text is just plain looking. And it's great because it makes the message very small, very fast to send, a little harder to intercept. And if you're on a satellite link, it just incredibly speeds up your sending of email. Um, change your email password frequently if there's no two-factor authentication. Uh, I know it's a big pain to use two-factor authentication with email. If you don't use it with email because you check it so often, um, change your email password once a month, once every 2 months. certainly no less than twice a year, um, and change it to something completely different. The nice thing about changing email passwords is it's stored by your email system on your phone or your computer, so you don't have to memorize the password. You just paste it in and forget about it, and then change it 6 months later. Um, so always use two-factor authentication. Do not auto forward, and be aware that a lot of corporate email is hosted by Google and Microsoft under brand names. So New York Times email, for example, is done by Google. But there's no way of knowing it's Google. If you look at it, there's no way to tell it's Google. It's hidden by Google, and corporations do this. But remember, once your mail's on Google or Microsoft servers, if they get hacked, you're in trouble. You may not hear about your company being hacked, but if they use Microsoft Mail and you see a news story saying Microsoft's mail system has been hacked, that means you've been hacked. Um, it's just, they're sort of rent a mailbox kind of thing. Um, what you should do, get into good travel habits. This isn't all about passwords and everything. Never leave your laptop unattended in a hotel. Just don't ever do that. Um, if you have to leave the hotel, and you trust them, you can have them put it in the safe at the hotel or something, but never leave it sitting in your room. Uh, we have caught people in hotel rooms who were clearly trying to hack into computers. They will actually have teams in China who will disassemble the computer, remove the hard drive, copy the hard drive, put it back in the computer, and they can all do it in the time it takes you to have lunch downstairs. And they will distract you if you come back too soon. If you decide you don't want your kimchi or something, you you start heading back upstairs. They will have people distract you. They have it down to a science in China. I got to hand it to them. They do it really well. Never leave your computer unattended. It's bad enough if you cross a border with your computer, and like the Israelis do, they will take it apart and try to copy the hard drive. We've had them do that. Naughty Israelis. Um, Password protect your computer. Have a very good password on your computer. You're going to type it in a lot, so you'll have no trouble memorizing it. But put a really good password on your computer, nice and long and crazy. Um, you if they have a camera in your room, they can see you typing on your computer. Here I am typing, and they can see those finger motions, and they can reproduce your computer password by viewing it. We have found cameras in hotel rooms of Times reporters in China and Russia. And that's probably what they were doing. They weren't looking to see how often you go to the bathroom. What they're looking at is your keystrokes. Um, Avoid using sleep mode. Don't just shut the lid on your computer. Shut down the computer. When you go into sleep mode, it creates a file on your computer called a cache. That file can be read by experts. It might take them a while, but it can be read. If you shut down completely, that's it. It's just shut down. They have to have the password and everything to get it back into it. So never just use sleep mode. In your own house, maybe, but it's a habit you don't want to get into. Um, Maintain your company approved antivirus software. Most Macs don't get a lot by having antivirus software. They mainly take advantage of network software that catches viruses. But Windows is very susceptible to viruses, and Linux somewhat, but mostly Microsoft. Uh, and so you want to make sure that you maintain your antivirus. The Windows 11 antivirus, by the way, that comes built in is pretty good. Um, and avoid attaching devices to your computer that you don't know. If a friend says, "Oh, I've got the file on my device here, and let me just plug it in, and you can copy it on my flash drive," um, just be aware that you may end up with more than just the file on your computer. Um, do not connect devices that you are not aware of. You, of course, want to password protect your phone or your tablet. They're basically small computers. They're pretty powerful. Your iPhone or Android phone is more powerful than the most powerful computer on Earth was in 1990. And you have to be aware that it can be hacked. It's a computer. That's what it is. It's a computer with a phone attached to it. Um, be wary of apps that are installed outside normal channels. It's almost impossible to do that on an Apple. It's on a Mac, iPhone rather. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. It's much easier on an Android device. Just don't do it. Get it from the Google Play Store or from the Apple Store. Um, that's where you should get your apps from. I would not get them from anywhere else. Um, be aware that when you're on the telephone call, um, you can be monitored at the central office. Um, you just have to be aware that any text you send that's SMS, any internet traffic is all going to go through the telephone company central office. Also, here's a trick I learned the hard way. Um, store your phone's numbers in international format in your contacts. That is with the plus sign, country code, and then the phone number. Even if it's in Ecuador, do that. I discovered that because I was down in San Diego, and Lynn knows where I'm talking about. I was at Point Loma, one of my favorite places in San Diego. Beautiful view of the city and a lovely view of northern Baja California state of Mexico. And I dialed the phone and I got a woman who I discovered was in Guanajuato. And I thought I was phoning home. And it turns out that the city code for Guanajuato is the same as the area code where I lived. And the city code, the phone had switched to the Mexican telephone network, even though I was about, what, Lynn, what would you say, about 10 miles north of the border? Something like that. And I was on the Mexican phone network and it treated it as a domestic call. I didn't have the plus sign, I didn't have +1 in front of it. And it dialed this poor woman in Guanajuato. I thought, oh no, how did that happen? And then I looked at my phone and it said Telmex, and I went, okay, that's how it happened. I'm domestic. And it can happen in Canada. I was just on the Canadian border, and my phone every few minutes was switching between the US and Canadian networks. They use the same +1 code we do, the North American number, but I was glad I had plus signs in front of all of my phone numbers. So you should do that. Um, Here's another thing to buy. Everybody's always telling you to buy something. These are cheap. These are a couple bucks each, $2, $3 each or something. They're red. They're almost all red. They allow you to charge your phone in a rental car or on an airplane or on a computer that you don't know, and it will block data. It only allows electricity to get through. Um, it's a cheap device. I carry them. They come in USB-A and USB-C, the new USB standard. They sell little packets with both in them if you need them. They usually come two or three to a pack, and they're great. They're red, so you don't forget it, and also so you know that it's blocking data. And there's no way, there's absolutely no way, because there's no physical connection of the data ports. It's only the power ports that are being connected. Um, these are great. I highly recommend them. I give them as gifts, actually. I'm a cheap gift giver. Um, so we have another little trick in phones these days, and that is your location is given away. Take the time to go through your phone, and this is true for Android and Apple phones. Go through and check all of the apps to see which are using your location and sending your location out, and tell it to either never send your location. I mean, Albertsons is a grocery store chain in my illustration here. They're a grocery store chain. They shouldn't care where I am, so I say never tell them where I am. Um, on the other hand, American Express is my credit card company. They need to know if I'm using the card overseas, that I'm really overseas. So I say, okay, if I'm using their app, I'll say, while I'm using the app, you can see my location. The other option is to always send your location. I only do that for an app that warns me of earthquakes. It's an app that the city of Los Angeles issues, and if the city of LA wants to come after me, they know where to find me anyway. So what difference does it make? Um, More practical advice: power off your device weekly. We'll get into Pegasus in a moment, but power it off once a week, and then power it back on again. For one thing, it refreshes the software in the memory, and it also does some purging of things and little housekeeping. And it checks you into the phone network again. And so if the phone network has changed, they get little software updates occasionally on the phone network, you'll get those changes. Um, Keep your apps up to date. If you have automatic updating on your Mac, that on your phone, that's great. If you don't, then manually do it every week. Check to make sure you have all your apps up to date. Um, I use password software manager. I use 1Password, but there's other good ones. They manage all my passwords. Apple now has a pretty good one built in to the iPhone. Android has an okay one, and they're getting better at it. But you should have somebody managing your passwords. It reduces the temptation to reuse passwords. Um, Back up your data regularly somehow. You can back up your phone on your computer. It takes up a lot of room when you do it, but it's worth doing. Um, and Or you can do their online backups, pay a few bucks a month. Uh, know the end of life date for your device. All computer devices have an end of life date. The only one that publicizes it is the Chromebook by Google. And that's because a court told them they had to. Uh, but they stopped supporting security updates after a certain date. They just don't do it anymore. And if you have an older iPhone, um, like an iPhone 4 or an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 8, um, chances are it's not getting updates anymore, security updates. And that means you're insecure. At some point, you have to suck it up and buy a new device. Um, I hate to say it because it's expensive, but at some point you do have to suck it up if you're a journalist. It's part of the cost of being a journalist is maintaining security for you and your sources. Um, by the way, that most of the the hardware developers will on their websites have a secret place where they tell you what the device. Oh, it's my wife's phone is beeping. Pardon. It's going to go silent in a minute. Um, Plan on replacing your device every 6 or 7 years. I would do that um, every 6 or 7 years religiously. Um, be sure to clear your web browser cache and your settings. Sorry about the beeping. This is go quiet, phone. Um, it's across the room, otherwise I'd turn it off. Double check addresses before you visit them on the web. There's the latest trick is that they use Russian characters to substitute for English and Spanish characters. They look the same, but they're treated as different characters, and you end up on a website you don't expect. Um, Disable Java, that's not a problem anymore on most browsers unless you're using Linux. Um, Avoid all third-party toolbars. All those cute little search toolbars that are added by third parties, do not use them. There isn't a good one that you need among them. Uh, don't use them. They are just capturing your data and sending it off to be resold. Uh, and if you get a warning saying a certificate warning, you're going to a website and you're warned by your web browser that it's an unsafe site or that the certificate has expired, don't go there. If it's the certificate that has expired, you're doing them a favor by telling them that it has expired. Cal State Fullerton, where I taught, allowed theirs to expire for a day. They just didn't notice. They didn't pay the bill or something. And I called them up and told them. And they didn't see it because they were inside the firewall. I was coming from outside and I saw a certificate error. And they said, oh my God, somebody got their credit card out and paid for it. Security certificates do expire. Um, Ask your IT department or your trusted advisor before you download and install non-standard software. Um, Use paid versions. Do not use the free version of Microsoft Word because there is no free version. You've got to pay for it if you use Word. There are software that mimic Word that's really, really good, LibreOffice and things like that. Always use the paid version of software. Never buy those cheap diskettes that are sold in the marketplace for $1 or $2 that have software packages on them. They all have viruses. That's how they make money on it. They can afford to sell you a Microsoft Word installer disk for $5 because they put a virus on it. Don't ever fall for that. Um, and use the right software for the job. For voice, I use Signal for secure voice. Signal is a great app. It allows you to make phone calls and send text files, send photos and stuff securely and untraceably. Signal is really good. It got the Secretary of Defense into trouble in the United States. I love that. The moron didn't know how to use it. He had this great program, Signal, and he was like an idiot. He was using it wrong. Read the instructions. It's great. Signal is actually really good. For web searches, I like DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is an untraceable. You can look at websites to your heart's content, and if someone's monitoring your computer traffic, they have no idea what you're up to. And not only that, the people at the other end, at uh, uh, at the end of the website owners that you're looking at, they cannot see where you're at. They don't know you're in Ecuador. As far as they know, you're in Chicago. It's great. DuckDuckGo is great. Um, and for desktop browsing, um, I also like Tor, uh, which is a very good encrypted website browser. It's a little slower, but it's very good at making you look like you're in another country. Um, and if you have an Android device, Brave is good. I think it's free. Um, so here we go. We're almost to my extra thing. But security begins with you. Good habits are 90% of the battle. Just change your password regularly. Don't leave your computer or your phone unattended in a hotel room. Things like that. Just change your habits a little bit and you take care of 90% of your security problems. Never be complacent. Realize that any device can be hacked. In a moment, I will explain to you how astonishing that statement is. And if you suspect a problem, if it just passes your mind, call your IT security department if you work for a company. If not, have an advisor who can tell you uh, whether something's going on your device. They will appreciate it. They don't mind false alarms. If there's nothing going on and it's just a software update that you had got and you didn't understand it, they don't mind telling you. What they mind is having a security threat and not being told. That's when they get upset. So there you go. That's the canned presentation. What I added this morning, I was pondering Pegasus because I've lost sleep occasionally over Pegasus. Um, so let's talk about that briefly. Um, Pegasus is put on. It's created by a company called NSO in Israel. And NSO is not allowed to sell it without the permission of the Israeli Defense Ministry. One can imagine these days how much time the Israeli Defense Ministry is going to take vetting these sales requests while they're at war in three countries. My guess is that and they'll ask NSO, are these people bad? NSO will say no, and they'll say, well, okay, go ahead and sell it to them. Um, they can't be being that careful. They just can't be with all that's going on. So Pegasus is a real threat. Things like Pegasus Whitehorse and stuff they're all trouble. Um, there are ways for you to fight back. Pegasus is put on in what's called a zero-click mode. That means you don't need to do anything. There's an exploit in your phone and in the iPhone and in the Android phone that allows software to sneak onto your device without you knowing and without you clicking on anything or doing anything. Just having it turned on is all they need. Um, this is it's pernicious, it's dangerous, it's scary, uh, but there are some defenses. Um, uh, One is avoid public Wi-Fi networks, the kind you get at the shopping mall or the airport, hotels. Avoid public internet. Um, those tend to be the places that are easily hacked because they're going through security routers that were bought from the lowest bidder, the cheapest place. And that's a good door in. That's usually where these Pegasus attacks take place. Somebody gets on the airport or shopping mall um, Wi-Fi, and bang, they're penetrated. Um, Here's an easy one, and this is free. Turn your phone completely off, just like I did to my wife's phone just now. Power it off completely, at least once a week. Uh, the spies do it daily. Every morning they wake up, they turn off their phone, then they turn it back on again. And because Pegasus does not exist, and not just Pegasus, but programs like Pegasus, don't exist as a file in your computer. They exist as commands that have been snuck into the operating system. And when you turn your computer off and turn it back on again, it reloads the operating system from an encrypted secret place in your phone. And essentially, Pegasus gets erased. You have to do this religiously, or it doesn't work. Do it every Saturday morning. Do it every Sunday morning. Again, turning your phone on and off has good effects anyway because it logs you back into the phone network and you get the phone network updates and stuff. But if you are involved in a story with deep secret sources, turn your phone off and on every single morning. Uh, Just it only takes a minute or two. Do it while you shower. Turn it off and then turn it back on again and while you shower or while you get dressed. And by the time you're done, it'll be booted up again and everything will be as it was. That is your only easy defense against this. Um, but it is easy and it works. Um, Here's the other problem. In your house, you may have more wireless devices than you think. Or the refrigerator maybe alerts you on an app that it's not cold enough, or your thermostat, or your home thermostat. Those are common ones. Power controllers, things that turn your lights on and off. A ring camera on your front door. Um, those can be hacked, believe it or not. And malware can be placed in them, little tiny snippets of code. They all have memory chips in them, all these devices, because they have to memorize their web address and on-off schedules and stuff like that. And they have to be updatable because the company that makes your refrigerator, the company that makes your thermostat has to be able to update the software in case there's a coding problem because they don't want to replace 10 million refrigerators. So this is known to the intelligence community and to organized crime, and they have ways of hacking these devices, sometimes before they're delivered to you. They're in the store, they plug it in to make sure it works, then they come and deliver your refrigerator, and now you've got a hacked refrigerator. Um, Again, one easy way is to simply unplug it when it arrives in your house and let it sit for a few minutes and then plug it back in again and make sure that it's cleared out. But just be aware that that's possible. And this is called pivoting or island hopping um, by the crooks. The code hops from device to device until it gets to your phone or it gets to your computer, usually your phone. Um, by turning your phone on and off, you somewhat mitigate that. But if you do have a device that is compromised in your house, one of your only defenses, without getting special software, is to turn the power off on your house. Go to the circuit breaker and just turn it off for the whole house. Let it sit for an hour, take a nap, read a book on the porch, do something like that, and then come and turn your power back on. And then you got to go around the room and change all your clocks back to the way they were, go to the microwave and realize you don't know how to change the clock on the microwave. Um, but you do have limited defenses. What I have here on the slide are two possible, and I say possible because this requires technical expertise, um, aids for you. One is OWASP. That's an organization. There have been several in existence. This is, I think, the best one that's still in existence. It's shareware. They're sponsored by the major corporations, Adobe and all those people. And but it's nonprofit. It's a foundation, and they develop software to detect penetration. This is called pen testing. Um, it's a term, it comes from English, but everybody uses it around the world. You say, if you go to Russia and say pen testing, they know what you mean. Um, it does penetration testing and monitoring. And they offer free software to help you, but you have to have some pretty intimate technical knowledge. Uh, this is not for the average journalist to try to figure out. But they do post interesting information and warnings. And so it's worth monitoring this website occasionally to see what the latest trick is. You may not understand the solution, uh, but you can understand what the tricks are. And so OWASP is a good resource. Metasploit offers some free tools, but basically they're, I believe, a for-profit company. Uh, they have a lot of good information. They specialize in penetration testing. So, there's two sets of tools out there. There's tools that monitor your network and tell you if it sees things on the network that are suspicious. And then you have people who say, okay, here's some software. It's going to attack all the software on your network and find its soft spots and report back to you and tell you where your problems are. That's what Metasploit does. It doesn't monitor your traffic. What it does is it looks at the software and the devices that you have, and it'll even check the thermostats, and it will attack them over and over and over again using different techniques, and then report back saying, oh yeah, you need to replace your thermostat because this one is dangerous. It can harbor malware. These are both in English. The OWASP is a little better about doing foreign language things other than English. I know they're doing something in Paris and it's going to be entirely in French. I suspect they've done Spanish. I know they've done Chinese in the past. And again, it's a foundation. Metasploit is a commercial operation. And they're good at what they do, but if you were to spend the money, you wouldn't know what to do with the software. You need to have an IT specialist doing it. So should you worry about Pegasus? Absolutely. Are there things you can do? Yeah, the power on and off. Just so you know how they catch Pegasus in the act, is they have a device. It's a box. It looks like a bird cage. It's called a Faraday cage. Matter of fact, they've used bird cages in the past because they're convenient. It's a Faraday cage, and you put the phone inside the cage along with a Wi-Fi antenna, and that way it's blocked from the cell network. It's blocked from Wi-Fi. It can only see what that antenna is telling it to see. And the antenna doesn't tell it to see anything. All the antenna does is listen, and it sees all the traffic that the phone is sending out when there's, in fact, nothing that's supposed to be talking to. And that's how they catch Pegasus. And they charge a lot of money for that. If you send them a phone, that analysis can cost you many hundreds of dollars uh, to find out if you have Pegasus. And if they come up with a version that survives the phone being turned off and turned on, that's about the only way you're going to be able to find out that you got it, is to have that test done in what's called a Faraday cage. Mr. Faraday uh, was one of the inventors of radio transmission. And he discovered that you can be inside the cage and be hit by lightning and you won't be hurt. That's how he found out. Um, and what's used today, one of the ways is for spies who have entire rooms made like Faraday cages to take equipment, put them in, and test them. And in this case, a bird cage is all you need for a cell phone. Cell phones are small. Put it in a bird cage, put the antenna in, and sit and see if it talks to anything. And if it does, you got a problem. Um, but it has to be done right. Otherwise, you'll think you have Pegasus and you don't. You don't want that. That can be even worse.